Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Russell's Movie Reviews. I know the immediate question is going to be, where the fuck was the next one? When was this going to come out? That's going to be discussed at a later point in a different video. I don't have the time or patience to talk about it in this video because it's a long story. It doesn't deserve to be in this one, so just get ignored for now. We are here, me and Matt, once again to talk about another Spider-Man video or a movie, and this is a big one. This is probably the biggest one I think we've ever covered. This is going to be a fun ride. You already know, last time we discussed Far From Home. This time we're discussing, at this current point, the latest live-action Spider-Man film, that is Spider-Man No Way Home, released on December 17th of 2021. Funny enough, actually, me and Matt have a little bit of a backstory with this film because I do believe for both of us, this was the first Spider-Man film we both saw in theaters.
Yeah, great.
Obviously,
Yeah,
we didn't see
correct.
it together because this was 2021 and I think we didn't meet until like 2022, 23, I think. But yes, this was the first one that both of us have seen in theaters. So this one does hold a special place in our hearts because of that. And also because of the shit that happens in the movie. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah, we already have the connection there with both seeing this in the theater for the first time as our first Spider-Man movies. And I think it's kind of ironic that as of us recording this, as of September 18th, we're right around the corner from the Sam Raimi trilogy coming out again in theaters. So I think right now it's kind of the perfect time to talk about Spider-Man again in terms of his film career. This film was made with a budget of over $200 million. I think that's right now the most that any Spider-Man movie has gotten.
Wrong answer!
Domestically, it made over 814 million, and worldwide, it made a huge sum of $1.9 billion of the worldwide box office. So just shy of hitting 2 billion, which I still think is insane. And that's probably because of, again, the events that happened in the film, which we'll get to as the film goes on, or as the review goes on, I should say. This is again directed by John Watts, who previously directed Spider-Man Far From Home, and I believe would go on to direct some other future projects. If you guys saw the last review or just have seen Far From Home, yeah, the world kind of just knows that Peter Parker's Spider-Man now, and that's thrown his life into the shitter. So, with Spider-Man's identity now revealed to the whole world, our friendly neighborhood web slinger is unmasked with and no longer able to separate his normal life as Peter Parker from the high stakes of being a superhero. When Peter asks for Doctor Strange's help, the stakes become even more dangerous, forcing him to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man. Through a series of space-time catastrophes, multiple villains from different universes started to pop up and causing chaos. Peter has to stop all of these villains with just strength and intellect. He may even have to get some unexpected help from some unexpected allies. So, I think this film was really supposed to be a love letter to not only Spider-Man, but to the fans. Because as we're gonna get to, and as we kind of mentioned, we're gonna we get a whole onslaught of villains from different eras of Spider-Man's film career. I think that's really fucking cool, and we'll go into them as the film goes on. But of course, we gotta talk about the main cast, and we have to start off, of course, with Peter Parker slash Spider-Man, who again is played by Tom Holland. This may be a hot take, but I think Tom Holland pulls off his best performance as Spider-Man in No Way Home. Like,
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Tom has finally. Well, I wouldn't say finally because you kind of started getting it in Far From Home, but this film he really has all of the mannerisms and characteristics of Spider-Man slash Peter Parker down to a T in this film, and especially with the complication of him having the character having the balance, really just having his whole life just turned upside down, especially with the fact that his identity was revealed. That kind of just fucks him up, and now everyone is just asking, him questions about Spider-Man, and it really is polar opposites here, where half the crowd's like, "Oh my god, it's Peter Parker Spider-Man. That's awesome." But then you get the other side where everyone's like, "Fuck Spider-Man. He's a piece of shit. He killed Mysterio." I think he handles that very well, and some of the scenes that we'll get to later, I think Tom is by far one of, if not the best part about the film, because he knows what the character that he's playing, and he delivers his performances so well in this film, way better than I think he did in Homecoming and Far From Home, and those were pretty good as well. So the fact that he just jumped up a level with No Way Home is genuinely surprising. But Matt, what do you think about Tom Holland's portrayal as Peter Parker in this film?
Well, I totally agree that yes, this is his most powerful performance yet as Peter Parker in this film compared to like Homecoming and Far From Home. Because like with his earlier performances, like in Homecoming and Far From Home, you get like that youthful energy and humor. With this film, however, it forces his character into a more of a adulthood through like loss, sacrifice, and responsibility. So, and that's what really makes his character really well in this film.
I 100% agree with that. So overall, Tom Holland, you did a fucking great job with your performance in No Way Home. And I'm not gonna lie, rewatching this film again, because I should state, because I didn't mention this before, this is about my third, fourth time seeing this film now. Because I saw this once in the theater. I saw it again when I picked up the Blu-ray, and then we watched it again a couple nights ago for the review. So I think I've seen this about 3 to 4 times now. And I don't know about you in terms of how many times you've seen it, Matt.
Well, I
Um,
would say the same 4 times actually.
but yeah, like really just like picking up the mannerisms in his performance and how well he managed to pull it off makes me really excited to see what he pulls off in Brand New Day.
Yep.
I'm very excited to see that, and rewatching this film again really just shows that he can do a great Spider-Man performance. Of course, now moving on to MJ, played by Zendaya. And again, just like Peter Parker, or like Tom Holland's performance, I think Zendaya does the best performance that she has done as MJ in this film. Because we definitely do see now the loving relationship that both Peter and MJ have in this film, and it really does show the growth in her character. Because I mean, we said this in the Homecoming review that she started off in that as a person who really just doesn't give a shit about anything. Of course, your typical teenager at that age. And then in Far From Home, we started seeing the progression of her still being that character at the beginning. But then as the film went on, she was like, okay, I'm starting to care more about, this guy, and I'm actually starting to have feelings for him. And in No Way Home, we get like the perfect summarization of both of the two's relationship. The scenes that they have together before the shit kicks off about them trying to get into college is probably some of the most effective scenes in the entire film, because it clearly shows the love that they have for each other, trying to get into the same school with each other, trying to really be there for each other, but they unfortunately don't really get that in the film. It is unfortunate, but that does help in terms of pushing the story along, and I think they both play it and sell it very well. But what do you think about Zendaya in the film, Matt?
I think she's pretty all right, as probably one of the top three like love interests ever in a live action Spider-Man film, probably. She's also pretty good in this film. Like I would say, like her chemistry with, Tom Holland, it definitely like elevates the personal stakes and it makes the film more emotional and it just hits even harder during the end.
So yeah, overall, Zendaya again, great performance, and of course, moving right along, we can't forget about Ned.
Yeah,
Ned,
yeah.
of course, again played by Jacob. I think his performance in this is kind of on par with his Homecoming, because again,
Yeah.
at least with this film, I'm glad that they actually had him be. Yes, he is the comic relief, but they did also have him be kind of integral to the plot, or at least be helping throughout it, which I do like, instead of in Far From Home, where he really did just feel like the comic relief. So I'm glad we finally got back to that side of the character again. And god damn, I think this is probably the funniest that Ned has ever been in any of the films. Especially his interactions with Doctor Strange, which we'll get into in a
Yep.
little bit. Uh his interactions with him are so fucking funny. And oh my god, yeah. And especially with the villains of the piece, his interactions with them are also really funny as well, which we'll get to again later. But overall, I think he does pull off a very good performance. And while it isn't on the same level as both Tom and Zendaya, I think he does help bring to light that these are like the trio best friends and they're trying to get through this tough shit. And they're just kind of just getting blocked at every corner. And they do pull it. And they all three of them pull it off very well. But what do you think about Ned?
Yeah, I gotta like agree with the same thing as Ned in this film. With him and Peter's friendship in Homecoming, that was really good. But in this film though, like it's still there, but it doesn't like hold up to the same thing as, Homecoming with like their
Yeah.
friendship. But there is still like good funny moments between, obviously, him with Peter, him with the villains, him with Strange, of course. He's a very solid side character, in just the whole of, Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. So yeah, I think that's pretty good.
I will go over real quick before we get to the I guess more of the cast members that we're excited to talk about. Might as well mention
Yep.
both Happy and Aunt May. Because I think especially Aunt May, she plays the biggest part in any of the Tom Holland films in this film. Aunt May in this film really drives the emotion of the film, especially when the villains turn up and Peter keeps on telling him telling her that like I have to send them back. It's their fate. And Aunt May keeps on bringing the point of like what, just to let them die? Like you as Spider-Man should know that you really should not let someone die like that. Like at least try to help them, which is what causes the rest of the film's events to kind of play off of that. But I do think though that Aunt May definitely plays a bigger role in terms of all the Tom Holland films. Happy a little bit. I think maybe Happy might have the weakest or the not as much to do as compared to Homecoming or especially Far From Home. But I think he still kind of works for the scenes that he does have, which is very few and far between. But I think the chemistry between him and Peter is pretty good, even if they don't have that many scenes throughout. But it's really the Aunt May stuff that I wanted to touch on here because it was definitely needed at this point, and it actually will lead to one of my favorite scenes in the film, which again will come up later on in the review. But Matt, I want to hear your opinion about especially Aunt May.
Yeah, so with Aunt May, she is a very important figure in this film, especially. As we will talk about later about what happens to her, it's definitely an important scene in, the entire film. And it's very emotional too. So like Aunt May is very important. Happy, he's pretty all right in this film again. He definitely has, I guess, more importance in like the other two films, but this one, I guess, it was kind of more of his weaker side of the film. But I still don't mind, him being in the film. He kind of had a relationship with Aunt May in a way.
Which I love the fact they do touch upon in the opening.
Yeah,
Where okay, I guess we'll go into this part now since we're gonna talk about this is one of the funnier scenes of the film when it's right at the beginning when the world gets knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man and he's trying to get home, and you just cut back to both Happy and Aunt May. What literally looks like they just did it. All of a sudden Peter, they get into the room, and then this whole one almost like one take sort of situation where it ebbs and flows throughout the apartment, and you have like let's say like Peter and Aunt May talking, and then all of a sudden MJ's trying to get his attention, and he's trying to talk to her, but then also like Happy's trying to talk, and he's like, okay, this and this, and he's like, and then like out of nowhere, like he's trying to explain to them like, can I just talk to you like for 1 second? All of a sudden, you just hear both of them go, like, yeah, Peter, we kind of broke up, and Peter's like, wait, what? Like what? Like, I thought you guys were such like a happy couple, and the comedy just keeps on going. And that part was like it was really funny, especially for the opening of the film, where it's like it leads straight from the ending of Far From Home, where the bomb drops of, Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and now everyone knows. And now to have like Peter be like, okay, guys, we need to kind of talk about this and kind of leave because everyone's gonna be on us. And meanwhile, they're still like because they think that Peter and MJ were trying to do it, which is even in that part alone is funny enough. But then like they're talking about how like you should always be protected when you do that sort of stuff. And he's like, no, mom, I'm not fucking doing that. Like, just understand what the fuck I'm trying to say. And like meanwhile, like the fucking helicopters are rolling around, and it's like just overall just a fucking chaos scene, and it's so funny. Yeah, I think overall, anime does the best performance in the film. Moving right along, we have of course, probably one of the key players in terms of the film's plot. My homeboy Doctor Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and I think this is actually the first time that we're actually talking about Doctor Strange, because this is technically the first appearance in a solo Spider-Man film that he's had. Obviously, he's appeared alongside Spider-Man in like the Avengers films and that sort of shit, but this is the first time that he has appeared. I mean, he's on the cover for goddamn sake, like that should be clear enough. But I think, like, honestly, Benedict Cumberbatch always does great with his performances, and I do think that the relationship that he has with Peter as a kind of like a father-son sort of thing really honestly does help elevate the stakes of the film, because you can clearly tell that Doctor Strange is like trying to get Peter to understand, like, okay, we shouldn't be doing this, but for you, since we did save the world and everything, I'll try. And then Peter unknowingly keeps on screwing things up for him, and you get to see his his anger level just progress as the film goes on, where at the beginning he's like, okay, yeah, of course, I'll try and do this thing for you. And as again, as the film goes on, he just gets more and more angry until by the end he's just like, where the fuck is Peter Parker? I need to talk to him right fucking now. And it's so funny. But I mean, again, Benedict Cumberbatch does great, but pretty much anytime he plays Doctor Strange. And I'm gonna let Matt go over his thoughts on Doctor Strange and Benedict Cumberbatch.
He does a very good performance as Strange, and in this film he's also very important because he actually controls the time and the events of what could happen in the world, which is very important. But also, like, I feel like after No Way Home, like we should somehow get into his films, because he has his own solo movie as well as the Multiverse of Madness.
That's definitely one of the MCU that I want to try. I definitely want to get around to. I guess if I could say anything, he's definitely the reason as to why the plot happens, because we're going to get into it. Basically, what happens is that, obviously, because Peter, MJ, and Ned are trying to get into college, but they can't, Peter decides, you know what? It's not fair for Ned and MJ to suffer the consequences of what he is, of what Spider-Man is. So he goes to Doctor Strange and asks him, can you make everyone forget who I am? That Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Which is a very interesting way of thinking about it. Because you have a point where everyone knows that he's Spider-Man. Everyone has figured, like, the whole world is told, this guy is Spider-Man. And now his whole life is fucked. So what if he makes the world forget that he's Spider-Man? Which I think is a very clever way of making the world not realize that he's Spider-Man. However, there's a twist in this film about it. Because as Doctor Strange is trying to conduct the spell to make everyone forget, Peter keeps on jabbing in, saying, oh, wait, what about my girlfriend? Is my girlfriend going to forget about me? And so he's like, okay, everyone but Spider-Man's girlfriend is going to not remember him. And he's like, oh, wait, can you add my friend Ned? And he's like, okay. Everyone other than Spider-Man's girlfriend and Ned. And then he's like, wait, are you happy? And like, what about happy? And he's like, I love that part where he's like, wait, what about happy? And he's like, no, I'm not happy. I'm aggravated. I'm like, I love that. I just love the play off of that. And he's like, no, happy's a nickname for someone that I know. And he's like really close to me. He's like, and he just keeps on going until the point where the whole room just goes to shit. Like, because
it's too much.
he just fucked up the spell too much and kept on adding names so people, oh, this person should remember and this person should remember. The whole world, this whole room, and in effect, the multiverse goes into shit until Strange closes up the spell. And this is what I mean about him getting more angry as the film goes on, because he's just like, Peter, I told you, don't talk during the spell. What did you do? You talked during the spell. And you kept on messing me up, and now we don't know what the consequences are. Peter then goes to try and talk to the board, the lady at the board of the college that they're trying to go to accept MJ and Ned into the college. However, something comes up that kind of fucks with that a little bit. And this was the moment where everyone shat themselves in terms of this film, because we have returning villains, ladies and gentlemen. The first one that pops up is you see the highway that they're on start to crack below them, and all of a sudden, the one and only Doc Ock shows up, played again by Alfred Molina, returning once again from 2004. That was a holy shit moment in the theater. And they did play it off in the trailer with the classic line that, you know, he fucking just says out there, just, hello, Peter. Fucking love that. Love that line.
Yeah.
And I think the initial battle between him and Tom's Peter is actually really cool, because there's a interesting quirk that happens. So basically, because Peter, this version of Peter doesn't know who the fuck Doc Ock is. He never had a Doc Ock in his universe. So he's getting his ass kicked, and then eventually it gets to the point where Doc Ock has him pinned, and he goes to stab him with the tentacle, but then rips off his suit, because this the suit that he has on right now is the nanotech one that he had at I want to say Infinity War. Doc Ock rips a part of it off, and the nanites actually start to infect the tentacles. Peter then can actually control the tentacles himself, which is a very interesting, like a very cool way of working around that. And I love the part where like Doc Ock is like trying to like tell them like what to do, and Peter's like, ooh. And he's like trying to control them and everything. Yeah. I fucking love that. He eventually apprehends Doc Ock, and he's like starting to question, like, hey, whoa, who the fuck are you? How do you know who I am? And what the fuck are you doing here? He doesn't get the answers just yet, because his spider sense starts tingling. We look at the other end of the highway. We look at the other end of the highway, and we see a familiar looking grenade fall on the highway. And you look at it and you go, wait a minute, is that a pumpkin bomb? And sure enough, the thing explodes, the highway turns to shit, and the one and only Green Goblin returns again, played by Willem Dafoe. Already 2 classic villains from the OG Raimi Spider-Man trilogy return in No Way Home within within 5 minutes of each other, which is insane. So this encounter with Green Goblin doesn't last that long. I think honestly, like, what is it, like 30 seconds? I think, like, because he just shows up, throws the pumpkin bombs everywhere, and
not even.
That's it.
I think.
Yeah,
like,
and then he just flies off. Yeah, like something like around like 15 to like 20 seconds. I love the quip that the boar lady gives off, where she's like, I'm gonna talk to them about your friends. I'm gonna talk to them about you. And he's like, wait, I wasn't trying to make this about myself. And he's like, I'm going to talk to them about you and your friends. Okay? Comprende? And she just like goes off and just starts talking shit to Doc Ock, which I love. But then as the film, as we go on, Doctor Strange will eventually tell us that when Peter kept on adding shit to the spell kind of fucked up. And now the spell was that everyone who knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man will come to this universe. So we already saw it with Doc Ock and Green Goblin. So that means who the fuck else is going to show up? Like, really, we can have everyone from every universe who knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man just show up out of nowhere. Obviously, that would be probably $1 billion to cost as a whole, but that's for a different story. Strange assigns Peter to go and apprehend all the villains that we know of that know Spider-Man is Peter Parker, that have traveled to this universe and that are not from this universe. And so Peter's like, okay, I need MJ and Ned to help me out because they kind of know some of the techie stuff. So he goes and they get a disturbance at I believe it was a factory, I believe they said in the film. So he goes to the pretty much in the middle of butt fuck nowhere. There's like all you can see is trees and power
Yeah.
lines nearby. So he's trying to figure it out, like who's here. And again, his spider sense starts tingling. And I love this shot. This is probably one of my favorite shots in the film, where you kind of start like looking at him like kind of like how my camera is right now. But then as the scene goes on, it starts tilting downwards so you could get more of an angle looking up
Yeah, looking
at Peter
up.
and past him. And you see some electricity start building up. And Jamie Foxx shows up as Electro.
Yep.
So out of fucking nowhere, we get a TASM 2 villain. Yeah, so he starts fighting him. And again, because Peter does not know the tactics of this villain, he gets his ass kicked. But just before Electro finishes off, a pile of sand comes up. And we get the return of Sandman, who is actually going to... he actually starts off helping Spider-Man because, again, he doesn't know that he's in a different universe. So he goes to start trying to help him. And they apprehend Electro. I'm going to say this right now. Jamie Foxx does the better performance in Electro in all the scenes that he has in this than the entirety of TASM 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Like, this guy, like, me and Matt were talking about this when we were watching it. I think out of all the actors that returned to play their respective roles in, at least the villains in No Way Home, I think Jamie Foxx had the biggest glow up out of all.
Yeah, he did.
Because, like, 2014, he barely, like, I think at this point, the biggest role he might have had was Collateral. Collateral with Tom Cruise, and then the Ray Charles biopic are really the only two I could think of. To have, like, not even 10-year gap between TASM 2 and No Way Home, you could already tell the acting on him was way better. So he apprehends Electro, and he has to apprehend Sandman, because Sandman quickly figures out that this Peter Parker is not his Peter Parker, so he starts questioning it. So Peter's like, all right, gone. So now we have currently captured, we have Doc Ock, Electro, and Sandman. And we also get, and this was kind of one thing I was kind of disappointed about. We also get introduced as we get captured, get them captured. We have the Lizard from TASM 1, and he's already in one of the cages. And I do think, though, that they could have had at least a little scene of him getting captured by, I think it's implied that Doctor Strange captures him.
Yeah.
That scene happens after Peter gets Doc Ock in. It's kind of implied that Strange was the one who got him. But I would have liked to see that at least, because he just shows up in the cage and you're like, wait, what the fuck? That's a lizard. Why is he here? So
yeah,
that is one thing I wish they could have done. But as of this current point in the film, the Lizard, Doc Ock, Electro, and Sandman are all captured. That just leaves one more. And his is by far, I think, the most interesting in terms of the significance of the plot. So we obviously mentioned how the Green Goblin showed up, but then we see him in a back alleyway trying to take off the suit, and he's still having the double personality issues that he had in the first Spider-Man, where he's trying to forget his life as Green Goblin, but the mask is still talking to him as the Green Goblin persona. And surprisingly enough, he just, like, you could tell, like, Willem Dafoe had a great time playing this role. Because he just goes up and he's like, all right, fuck this. And just smashes the mask.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, fuck this shit, I'm done. And he eventually turns up at I think it's the shelter, right?
Yeah, called Feast, which is actually in the Insomniac Spider-Man game.
I was going to bring that up, which is a callback. I think it's a callback to, the Insomniac games.
It might be, yeah.
So that's a nice little detail. Harry shows up at the shelter. I almost forgot the name of it. He's clearly in his fractured state at this point, because he is like, he's talking he's talking like a normal person, but he's just very scared and very fractured. Very much how very much how Norman was after he took the serum and when he was being Norman Osborn. So Peter takes him back to where all the other villains are, and we get some character development, or at least callbacks to the other films where Doc Ock keeps on telling Harry, or I keep on saying Harry, or he keeps on telling Norman, like, you're dead, like you died years ago, and then Sandman would chime in and saying like, well, actually, both of you are fucking dead. I'm the only one like here technically. And then you have Jamie Foxx telling like, I was kicking Spider-Man's ass, and then all of a sudden I'm here, and he's like, cool little callbacks to how and where the villains are at their respective points, which I like.
Yeah, same.
And then we lead to one of the coolest scenes in the film where Doctor Strange shows up and he has to tell Peter, look, okay, we captured all the villains. Now we need to send them back to their respective timelines because their mission technically is to die. And Peter is like, no, I ain't doing that. Like, do we really have to go and fucking let them die? And again, this is what calls back to the Aunt May conversation that I was talking about earlier, where she was telling him like, why not you just cure them? Like, why can't you just do something to help them? And so Peter's starting to realize like, maybe I can do this. So he turns on Doctor Strange. He's like, no, I could help them. And Doctor Strange's like, no, we need to send them back to where they came from. And it legit comes down to the wire of Doctor Strange finishing the spell to send them all back. And Peter's just like, he's sitting there and he's like, fuck it. And just he goes, all right, box is mine. See ya. I'm leaving. And he just books it. And we get the fight between Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, which is one of the most visually impressive parts of the film because it literally looks like an abstract painting.
Yeah, like a whole fever dream.
I'm going to mention this more later, but that whole scene is insane to look at. So he eventually gets Doctor Strange stuck in this mirror dimension, I guess you could say, or I don't know what he calls it, but basically Doctor Strange controls this. Peter gets Doctor Strange stuck in the mirror universe, and it's, you know what? I'm gonna cure all of you. We're gonna send you all back as different people. And the actual scenes of him working out how to, like, okay, so for Doc Ock, this is the chip that was on the back of his neck, and it's basically fried. So like basically having him be, and this is something that like I'm kind of thinking about now, having him basically take on the role of Tony Stark originally did with all the tech savvy shit is kind of cool. And I like that, especially with the callbacks of having the Stark Industries tech in their apartment. Like, that's a nice little detail that I like. And having him be like, okay, so the chip, and again, the callbacks to where they mentioned that the chip on the back of Doc Ock's neck was fried, and that's how he kind of just turned mad. So if they could fix that, he could pretty much be good. And then, talking about how like Electro, here's this thing that kind of just basically just zaps all the electricity, all the actual electricity that you've gained, takes it all away. And like all this and that. And we see them as they're going on, but something takes them off. And I love this shot again of the one take of Peter realizing that something's up, and you just get a zoom in on his face as he's walking around the apartment trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And he's like, and I love the fact you kind of hear the heartbeat in the background, and everyone's voices are like muffled as he's like trying to figure it out, because it's very much like in his mind, like, shit, something's not right here. And I love the shot of him, like, he's like, it zooms out and you see everyone there. Everyone's like, what the fuck's going on? And you just see him, like, he just closes his eyes, and all of a sudden, you see full fucking Normie Osborn just fucking skittering away. And then you just see Peter just go, 1, 2, bam! And he just catches him off guard. And then all of a sudden, the light changes in Norman's eyes. And the Goblin persona takes over again. And
that was good.
I love the line of Doc when he's like, Norman, what's going on? He's like, Norman's on sabbatical, honey.
Yeah.
I fucking love that, because it's totally like Willem Dafoe just acting the shit out of this. I love it. Willem Dafoe was by far, I think, the most excited performance I was to see again, because I fucking love him in Spider-Man 1. His mannerisms as the Goblin are so fucking funny. And so yeah, now Norman has fully become the Goblin persona again, and pretty much all the villains just go, all right, fuck Spider-Man, let's kick some ass. And they just all just break out and start going ham. And this leads to one of the most, if not the most, gut-punching scene in the film, where Willem Dafoe is kicking Tom's ass. Like, he's kicking the shit out of him. Electro shows up, beats him up for a bit. Sandman kind of fucks him up. And they eventually end up in the lobby where Aunt May is running off too because she has all the serums. Aunt May picks up like a pipe and he's like, I'm going to kick the shit out of you. I don't care what happens. You know, I'm going to do this. And you fucking see in the background the little glider, like gliding and flying around and shit. And you just, I can't even talk. I'm trying to talk about this without getting emotional. You see the little glider gliding in front of the building, and Norman just looks up and just fucking activates it, and he just comes flying through, knocks Aunt May the fuck out, and you know he just keeps on beating the shit out of Spider-Man, gets on the glider, drops the pumpkin bombs, and dips out. You see the explosion go off in the main lobby, and we get the scene where Tom and Aunt May, they're battered to shit. They're trying to figure out what to do. They decide, okay, we gotta get them because clearly they're too dangerous. And you see Aunt May, she's kind of stumbling a bit, but she's kind of mitigating it. And then she goes like, I kind of need to sit down. I need to catch my breath. And she just fucking drops. And you see Peter trying to figure out what's going on. And she keeps on repeating the line, I just need to sit down for a minute. I need to catch my breath. And that could already tell. You can already tell at that point something's not right. And he goes to pick her up, and he notices the blood on his hand. And we see literally happen right in front of us. Like, Peter's trying to tell her, like what's going on? And she's gone. Just like that. And Peter is just trying to get her to fucking just talk to me. And we get the cuts of him trying to get her to wake up, and the SWAT team coming towards it. And Happy's he pulls up, he gets kind of arrested, and they're like, Peter, you got to come out, you got to put your hands up. And he's just trying to get his aunt to just wake up. And they eventually just, they don't shoot the fuck out of it, but they do hit him on the shoulder. And he's like, fucking god damn it. And he bolts. And then the last shot you see of her is on the ground. You see a little tear run down her face. And it's just like, oh man. Get out! That scene really did fucking kill me, because it's I said this before, about Aunt May's character. She is the most, she's the heart of the story, and we barely get to the halfway point. Well, no, we're over the halfway point at this point in the film, and she's gone. And it really does suck, because it's she was the one that was kept on telling him, do what's right. You shouldn't be going and, leading them to their deaths. Try and help them. What did that do? That eventually led to her death. It's such a gut punch, because you're following her, their story pretty much throughout. Well, mostly throughout Homecoming and No Way Home, because Far From Home, like I mentioned before, she doesn't really show up that much. It really does suck that she's no longer going to be a part of the story. I mean, I again, we don't really know that much about Brand New Day, so we don't know what the story could be for that. But I do think though that they this is definitely going to play a part in it, because this was kind of this version of Peter's Uncle Ben moment. He sees a family member die right in front of him, or something along the lines, and that breaks him. But at this point, he's already had a couple years, or at least a year at this point, of being Spider-Man. He's already had that persona, and then just to see the person that was motivating him to kind of do all that sort of stuff die right in front of him is so messed up. Yeah, that is by far the most emotional scene in the film. I'm gonna say it right now. That's by far one of my favorite scenes in the film because it's such a gut punch that it resonates throughout the rest of the film and definitely leads to some of the other characters or some of Peter's actions later on in the film, which we'll get to. But I guess while Matt's gone, real quick, I will I guess talk about my opinions on the villain since I've kind of sprinkled it throughout. But I guess I can go more into depth with this part. So I guess we'll go in the appearance order. So we'll start off with Doc Ock, and it was great to see Alfred Molina come back to pretty much made the role that made him kind of famous. I mean, everyone knows the story that like his first appearance in a feature film was in the first Indiana Jones film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he only had a bit part in that. But I think if you really think of Alfred Molina as a whole, uh, Doc Ock is pretty much the first character you really do think of, and he does great returning as the scientist turned mad. I mean, it's pretty much a common trait with all Spider-Man's villains, but I think he does do great, and I don't know why, but I think I do kind of like the curly hair design or like aspect of this version of Doc Ock because I know previously it was the curly hair was still kind of there, but it wasn't as prominent. It was kind of uh more like going up because of the shit that happened to him in Spider-Man 2. But I think because it's like he was kind of losing more hair, so it's kind of way more short. But I kind of like that uh way that he does look in the film. So I do really like his portrayal of Doc Ock. And I mean I said it before, Willem Dafoe as both Norman Osborn and Green Goblin, probably my favorite villain to see returning because like I loved him in Spider-Man 1. He was probably the best part about the film. And to see him like he just fits so well back into that role. It was very nice to see, and my God, it was a joy to see in the theater and on every subsequent viewing afterwards, just to see him kind of switch between the roles again, like he used to do in 2002, was so great to see. And again, I think the switch that happens in the apartment when Peter clocks in on Norman being I guess, the traitor at the moment. And again, the line of like, Norman's on sabbatical, honey. I fucking love that. That line is great. And his mannerisms throughout the film of being Norman is fucking great. I really did enjoy seeing him return to the Green Goblin role. Also, and this was another one I talked very highly of. Jamie Foxx's Electro. By far a significant improvement over his performance in TASM 2. In fact, I can go right now and say that out of all of the returning actors in the film, I think Jamie Foxx is the best example of how much uh, the characters have or the actors have grown since their initial debut, which is kind of surprising considering the fact he was one of the more. I think he's actually the most recent, technically, in terms of the returning villains, because they pretty much got one villain from every previous Spider-Man film, or well, yeah, pretty much every other Spider-Man film, not including the Tom Holland stuff. Like you got Green Goblin from 1, Doc Ock from 2. We got Sandman from 3, which I'll talk about in a minute. We got the Lizard from TASM 1, and then Electro from TASM 2. And it's so surprising to see how much his character was kind of weak in the original TASM 2, and to see him kind of, like I said, get such a glow up in his acting style was so great to see. I do think though that unfortunately I think Electro again, kind of like TASM 2, doesn't get that much to do. Like I do think that like you have him show up, then he kind of goes along with him with Peter trying to cure anyone, and then as soon as Norman switches. Jamie Foxx is just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna turn into a bad guy too. And then he's kind of just playing the same role that he did in TASM 2, which I did kind of didn't like because I feel like they could have done a little bit more with him being more of a good guy. But I overall it didn't really uh affect my viewing that much because again, um that that really like I'm trying to figure out how to say it, but basically like I do think that Jamie Foxx was the biggest leap in acting quality in terms of all the returning actors. Technically, that's it for in terms of villains that showed up on camera because unfortunately, and this is something that I probably should have said in the fun facts, but I mean I think it's kind of common knowledge. But Jamie Foxx, Willem Dafoe, and Alfred Molina were the only ones to really to physically return for the shooting of No Way Home because again since this was a film that was released in 2021 and was primarily filmed in I want to say 2020 uh we obviously know what happened around that time when fucking COVID happened. So a good chunk of I feel like they probably would have had more cameos in if COVID didn't happen. Like I feel like we could have definitely seen, maybe some more characters from the TASM universe. Like um maybe we probably could have gotten like that version's anime or something like that. I don't know, but I do think though that with the cast that they did decide to reassemble for No Way Home, I think it does work. But I think with the restriction of having COVID happen so close to shooting, I think that did limit what some of the actors could do, especially with Sandman and the Lizard. Because surprisingly, well, I shouldn't say surprisingly, but both the actors for both Sandman and the Lizard, Reese Ifans and Thomas Hayden Church, did return to voice their characters in the film. But again, they just didn't show up in human form, and that's majorly because, well, I mean, I kind of already said it was because of COVID, but it's really easy to notice, like when they what's his face, uh, like where you could kind of tell they did get certain actors back and when certain ones did, because spoilers when when Spider-Man goes to cure all the villains and we see Sandman and the Lizard change, they use stock footage from the previous films. Like I know for Sandman, they used the shot of him in the subway of like when the water gets thrown on them and you see like the hand kind of like disappear, like or like crumble away because it's like the sand. They used that shot, but obviously just more normal, and they obviously added the like his like the sand coming back and him reforming as a human. So that shot is for they reused for Sandman. And then for the Lizard, they used a shot from the end of 2001 when um I guess the cure for when the bomb for the Lizard people gets like reversed, so like everyone that doesn't get turned to lizards, and you see the shot of like uh Dr. Connor's arm like kind of like disappearing and like falling over off because that was a part of the lizard thing. That shot's used again, but for when obviously he's cured. So you kind of just see him just kind of sitting there as the lizard kind of skin is retracting. And I think that's fine because, like obviously, again, because of COVID, you kind of have restrictions with that sort of stuff. So you kind of have to work around and with what you have. And I think for what they did, I think they did a pretty good job. It is kind of unfortunate that they didn't have the resources to actually get the actors back. But I get why certain ones they couldn't come back because probably most likely COVID, but also like the costing for like let's say flying them out. I mean, especially for Risa Fons because he's definitely a European actor, so he probably lives probably like like the UK or Ireland or something like that. I don't forget. I don't know exactly where. But like to fly him out from where he lives to the US to film all of his scenes and then to fly them back, especially during COVID when, flights were pretty much non-existent at that point, like in terms of booking them without having to get a COVID test and that sort of stuff. They probably just didn't want to run that risk, so they just got them to do the voice lines. And I think for both Thomas Hayden Church and Risa Fons, I think they both do a pretty good job with the material given.
Guess who's back again.
Yeah, Matt, welcome back. I was just talking about the villains right after the MJ death. So I guess if you want, you could talk about your opinions on each of the villains returning in appearance order, and then you can go into the your opinions on the Aunt May death. But while you do that, I gotta go use the bathroom.
The return of these past villains, it was so amazing seeing these past villains again from, the other Spider-Man movies that we have gotten, from Toby's movies, from Andrew's movies. It was really cool just seeing all of them in, this film, because it was legit just a blast from the past, just seeing these, villains again, like on the big screen, which was very good to see again. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, they both steal the show. Dafoe especially, his performance, it was just like Spider-Man 1 again, seeing him as the Green Goblin, who had a very unhinged performance. It's both terrifying and, tragic. But yeah, he's honestly probably my favorite Spider-Man villain from any live action film that, we've gotten so far. Because the way that, like I said before, like the way that Devoe's performance is just so, he just delivers it so good. Of him playing as the Green Goblin, it's very good. Same thing with Doc Ock, probably my second favorite. He had a very good performance as well as Doc Ock, just like in Spider-Man 2. Seeing the others like Jamie Foxx, Thomas Hayden Church, and Rise from, TASM 1 and 2, and also Spider-Man 3. Those guys were pretty awesome to see. I think for me personally, Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman, since I've seen Spider-Man 3 a lot of times, even though I still think that the movie is very overhated, in my opinion. Besides Harry Osborn and obviously Topher Grace's Eddie Brock / Venom, Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman was a very good villain in that film. And seeing him again, even though that he wasn't really actually in the film, like he couldn't return to the role, to his role, but he actually had to record some dialogue, I believe. Same thing with Rise as, Dr. Connors and the Lizard.
Yeah.
It was still pretty cool that, that he was still in the film kind of in a way, even though he had to record some new dialogue, which was nice. And I did notice that they did use some stock footage from Spider-Man 3 as, Sandman, as well as, Dr. Commerce coming back as, his normal human being. So yeah, seeing those other villains was pretty good. Oh yeah, and Jamie Foxx as Electro, I forgot to mention him. He was also much better, I think, in this film compared to TASM 2. Just like the way that he looks as well in this film is very it's much more better. Because I think in this film he has more of the comic style, kind of like the
Yeah.
yellow bolts in a way,
Mm-hmm.
instead of the all blue. Which I know
Yeah.
that Electro, he does look like that in some of the comics, but I think he kind of went with the more classic look in a way, but just more in a modern style, which was pretty cool.
I was gonna say that, I think I just clocked this in. I think the only time that Electro goes full, I guess you could say the full electric mode, where his whole body's glowing, is in the introduction for him. Other than that, it's just Jamie Foxx. Because I remember that
Yeah.
in a whole bunch of TASM 2, it was like, especially near the end when he's fighting Spider-Man, he's just like the whole blue aesthetic. Like you don't really see Jamie Foxx's face. But this time they understand like, okay, Jamie Foxx is a really big actor. We gotta show his face. So
Yeah.
they didn't really have him have the full electric thing, which I actually do kind of like. It kind of makes, shows that okay, this one feeds off of a different power source, so maybe have a different effect for him. And I do kind of like that. But go on. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
But overall though, just seeing all of those villains again from the other films was just, it was very cool seeing all of them again doing their, amazing performances. And especially, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and Willem Dafoe, man, they really stole the show on this one. But the three other ones like Jamie Foxx, Thomas Hayden Church, and Rise, they each have given their moments to reestablish their characters with like fresh twists. So that was very cool seeing them as well.
Did you talk about the Aunt May's death at all?
I haven't yet.
Okay. Because I was gonna say I did talk about that before I moved on to talk about the villains, but I guess we could ask right now, or we could talk about this now. What did you think about the whole sequence and how that was handled? Because I said this before, it's by far probably like one of my favorite scenes in the film because it's just that emotional peak of the film that like that scene really just has, and it really just carries the weight of throughout the rest of the film. But I'm curious to hear like what do you think about it?
Yeah, Aunt May's death, it definitely brings an impact on the film, especially. It legit gave me like flashbacks to like Uncle Ben's death in like the first Spider-Man film. That's how it kind of felt to
Yeah.
me in a way. It's still pretty sad though, in the entire film, because like that's really all he had, like besides Tony Stark as Iron Man. I mean, that was really his only, guardian, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. Like I guess really other than like Happy, Aunt May was like really like the one that was like protecting him, and even like early on in the film where she was like, when when they found Peter and like I guess you could say the family of like him, Happy, Aunt May, and MJ. She told him like, hey, don't answer any of their questions. Tell them that you need a lawyer. Basically, like planning out like what you need to do for this to go in our favor. Like, because obviously we didn't do anything really
Yeah.
wrong, and that just shows like the motherly sort of instincts for her, and I really do like that. To get back to the plot, after that gut punch, we see Peter at like his lowest. Like, I thought that like him, after Mysterio fucked his mind pretty much in Far From Home, like that was the low point for him. Nah, this film got that shit beat.
Yeah.
Like he's just like he's at a whole new low, and I'm surprised that we actually didn't even mention this yet. Of course, we got the wonderful J.K. Simmons returning as J. Jonah Jameson, which is I think it was kind of surprising to hear that he would be returning as J. Jonah Jameson in this series, because I thought that was only going to be a Toby thing, but I guess that's kind of like one nice thing to bring over. And I do like the fact that his is kind of like a podcast sort of thing to kind of keep along with the times. But we see him how he's basically just again mocking Spider-Man, pretty much saying like, "Oh, here's another landmark or like another location that he's fucked up," and I keep on telling you guys he's a criminal, and we just see the breakdown of Peter, and he just doesn't know what to do. So he obviously needs, to find his room to breathe. So why don't we cut back to good old MJ and Ned and see what they're doing? Matt, I think you should take this one because I think you're gonna have fun with this one. So, but how about you discuss at this time what MJ and Ned are or what they're doing right now?
Okay, I think what they're going through is they want to see Peter.
Yeah, they're trying to find out where he is, because so far this is after the attack. Obviously, he hasn't contacted any of them, so they don't know where the fuck he is. So they're trying to find him.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden Ned's like, I just wish we could see Peter, and then a fucking portal starts opening. And so then
oh wait, because I actually just forgot, because sorry for cutting you off, but we actually need to talk about this because this is kind of like why, and this leads up to it. When Peter's trapped at Doctor Strange, he got the ring from him as well as the box. And so Ned took the ring, which allows him to basically do all the magic shit, which is what he was conflicting with Doctor Strange about. So when he's like, I just want to see Peter, he kind of, it's because of the ring that he had on, it made the portal appear. So I just need to establish that instead of him like, oh yeah, he's just into magic now. So I just need to establish that, but go on, Matt.
So he starts doing that a couple of times because Zendaya's MJ's like, oh wait, you should do that again. So then like he just starts doing it again, and then all you see down through the portal is a figure. The figure looks at them, and he starts running towards the portal, and that is none other Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Yes!
Which is very nice to see, and that is what the fans like. That's when the fans really have like lost their shit.
Yeah,
this is like legit like what the fans have like dreamed of, because now seeing Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man there's only one other Spider-Man that we all know and love a lot, especially me. So they start doing it again, saying, okay, well, I guess that we should just find the right Peter. And so Ned does it again.
I was gonna say, they don't even give like any specific instructions. It's like, okay, we just gotta find Peter Parker again. And it's like, did you not see how that just did not work? Do you really think it's gonna work this time?
Yeah, and then like I just like how Andrew Garfield's like so hurt about it. He was like, ouch.
I forgot about that.
But well, first off, but like before I get into the other section, their whole interaction though, like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man with Ned and MJ, their whole interaction was kind of funny because like she was like, oh wait, like are you the real Peter Parker? And then like she just starts like, throwing shit at him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, yes, I am Spider-Man. And she just picks up like a loaf of bread and just chucks it at him. And he's like, why'd you do that?
Why'd you do that?
It's like you should have had your spotter tingly sense thing. And he's like, yeah, that doesn't work on bread. And then she's like, all right, crawl on the wall. And he's like, why? And she goes, yeah, because I need to see that you're Spider-Man. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And he goes, yes, you have to. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then what was it? I think it was Ned's mom, I think. She's like, she obviously, I think she's speaking Spanish, but Ned is basically like, hey, my it's his Nana. That's what it was. And he's like, oh, my Nana's asking you to get that cobweb in the corner. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. And I love the fact how casually he just goes, whoop, and he just fucking flicks on the roof and he's like, yeah, just grabs the cobweb. And so they're like, okay, that's Spider-Man, but it's not our Spider. It's not the Spider-Man. He's like, yeah, and he's just like, ouch. And then yeah, because I love the fact, because I think it's at that moment when they're trying to talk, and he's like, because I think during that whole time the portal's still open, or it's either that or like he's like, oh, I just came. Oh no, it's for the other section. I remember, but I think he's like they're talking, and he's like, I guess I'll just go through, and then you see the portal disappear. He's like, what the fuck? The portal's just gone. So. Yeah, so they're like, shit, okay, we need to find our Peter Parker. So, and I love the way that Ned's just like, okay, I got this, I can do this. Find Peter Parker, find Peter Parker, find Peter Parker. And then you see portal open up behind him, and you think, oh, is this Tom? Is this Tom's Peter?
Oh my god.
Ma-na-na-na-na-na. We just have Toby's Peter just show up. I guess you could say our generation's version of the fucking Avengers Endgame moment, or something like.
Tobey Maguire returned as Spider-Man in this film, which I was losing my fucking mind when this happened.
Yes. I was too, though,
Oh.
honestly, because it was like, I remember for the longest time, and if you guys were around the hype of this film and hearing the behind the scenes knowledge, you would probably know this, but I remember that I think someone leaked that both Toby and Andrew were coming back for this film, and everyone's like, "Holy shit, you know they're coming back!" And
Yeah.
then I will give props though to Marvel and kind of Disney because they obviously own Marvel. They played it off really well, saying like, "Oh, you know, like what, like they're not part of it. You know, it's just they're just in for like." I forgot what the exact story was that they gave up, but they did play it off very well. So then it got people's guards down, like, oh, they're not gonna be in it, and then they just smacked us in the face, like, yeah, gotcha, bitch. So I fucking love that. Yeah, I lost my shit when Toby showed up. Like Andrew was like, "Oh, okay, that's fire," and then you start thinking, "Where's Toby? Where's
Like,
Toby at? I know
like, like
he's
they
got to
did
come
it.
up."
They
And
fucking
then
did it. They brought the
yeah,
man himself.
and then this was one thing I actually do like though that they did decide to do was that they didn't make it immediately that like both Toby and Andrew's Spider-Man or like they trusted each other. They just saw like the guy across them be like, wait, is that fuck? And then just started like fighting each other like real quick. It's like it's like shit. And so I
Yeah.
like that. I like that point.
Yeah. I just like before that, like as soon as he comes in, and I just like, oh great, like it's just some random guy. Because like he's not in his suit.
Yeah, because he was like, yeah, I'm just working on my, I was working on something, and then this portal opened up behind, and you just see the, and he's like, oh
Oh,
fuck.
it just closed.
Did y'all just see that portal close? I love that. And then you have the like little
Oh,
interaction that both of them have, and then like other than that, like this is probably like my favorite scene with them two in it. Like other than the scene that's coming up in a little bit, but when MJ and Ned find Tom's Peter in that one spot that we've seen earlier in the film. They're embracing him, they understand like, what the fuck happened. And then, as I love the way that that they're going to get up and Zendaya's like, Peter, there's someone here to see you. And Peter immediately is like, who the fuck is that? And then looks like you just see like the shadows of them on
yeah,
the
the
building. I
shadows.
fucking
That
love
shot
that.
was cool.
And then
That
they
shot
both
was
jumped
cool.
down, and then the back and forth between all three of them was so nice and so I don't know what the word is, but it was so nice to hear. Like, and it was also like the Peter's, like Tom's Peter's, like breaking point where he was like, "I'm gonna kill the because he doesn't say Goblin, he just says, "I'm gonna kill the person that killed my Aunt May." So at that point, technically, I don't think they knew. They knew that like the villains were showing up in his universe, but I don't think they knew
Which
that
one?
yeah, they didn't know that Goblin killed Aunt May. All they heard was him go, "I need to find the killer for Aunt May, and I'm gonna kill him."
Not even
And,
Toby knew because he
yeah,
faced him in the past.
yeah. So
So
yeah,
like,
that was fucking crazy. Like not even like really thinking about it in the moment, but and then I love the part where they talked about because Tom was like like Aunt May died, and then how I think it's first Andrew that's like
yeah, it's
what
first. Yeah, he's
yeah where
first.
he's like I lost Gwen, and I love the fact he points it in because everyone's like, who the fuck is Gwen? Because technically in Tom's universe the Gwen Stacy isn't a thing, so they're all like, huh? And he's like, she was my MJ. I love
MJ.
that little point.
Yeah.
And then obviously how Toby's was like, I lost Uncle Ben, and I love like the little the little jump that Andrew does where he's like, yeah, I did as well. And then how I love the backstory that we give to Andrew's Peter about what happened after TASM 2. At that he tried to control it. He tried to control his anger, but soon it kind of just overtook him, and he just became vengeful and angry. to the point where he just stopped being Spider-Man, like consistently. And I love that where you have, Toby's Peter, where I think he's like the one that like would be like the Peter that is the most successful. Like he has a job. I think he's still in a relationship with MJ.
Yeah, like he made it work, as he
Yeah.
mentioned later.
And so he's like he's the Peter that had the good life. In like, even though his friends and close people to him have died, like he's the one that had like the good ending. Andrews, on the other hand, had the bad ending where he lost Gwen and he tried to control his anger, but he couldn't. And he just became vengeful and angry. And then eventually realized that's not what Spider-Man does. And eventually just stopped being him. And then you have Tom's where it feels like it's leaning towards Andrews. But then you have Andrew literally sitting there and be like, don't turn into what I became. Because what I became was not good. And you kind of see like the glimmer in Tom's eyes where he's like, shit, maybe, like you can see where he thinks about it for a second, where he's like, maybe I shouldn't kill him, and then the following scene where he's like, no, I'm gonna fucking kill him. And I love the part when Tom's Peter is talking about how Aunt May died, and I love the part when he goes, and the last thing that she said to me was, with great power, and you get the zoom in on Toby's face as he realizes, shit, this is the moment for this Peter. This is his moment. And then he just clicks it and he goes, with great responsibility. And then you see Tom like, what the fuck? How do you? And he explicitly goes, how do you know that? And he just goes, that's the exact phrase that Uncle Ben gave to me. And then you cut to Andrew, and then he just finished it off before he died. Oh my god, that scene gave me chills every time I see it.
That was so good.
The fucking roll off of all three of them in that one scene is, oh my god, it's amazing. So then we get the moment we get the scene of them in, I think it's the high school lab, I think, of them trying to create the remaining serums, because technically, as we know, Doc Ock is technically cured, but we don't know if he's working with the villains. So they need to work on the goblins, Electros, Sandmans, and the lizards. So they're in the lab. And I love the part where, and this was something I mentioned to Matt, Andrew, surprisingly, is the only Spider-Man that does not change out of his suit in the entirety of the film. Tom, obviously, he goes in and out, whatever. And with Toby, you see him start with his casual outfit, but then in that scene, you kind of see him like go like, see, I have the Spider-Man suit, which I love that's a nice little like, yeah, I'm badass. But Andrew is the only one that does not change his clothes to like a normal attire. The only thing he does is add like a lab coat to him, which I think is still funny because it's like, how the fuck does that work? But yeah, he's the only one that does not change out of his Spidey suit at all. And I love the fact that you get like Tom in his just full Spider-Man outfit. You get Andrew in his Spider-Man outfit, but trying to hide it with like a lab coat. And then you just have Toby just sitting there like, yeah, I'm casual as fuck. And then they're all trying to, oh, and I love the part in there where they start talking about how Tom is like trying to make more web fluid. And like Peter's like looking at it like, wait, what's that? And he goes, oh, it's my web fluid. It's how I, shoot the webs. And he's like, yours is like you make it yourself? And he's like, yeah, why? And all of a sudden you just get a quick pan and just and everyone's like, what the fuck? And I love the fact that
you can't do that, huh?
Yeah. I guess I love the fact that like everyone's like, they all like look at him like, how the fuck do you do that? And he goes, it's just like in my system. Like, and then where he's just like, y'all can't do that, can you? Like, it's like, what the fuck? I fucking love that. That's so funny. And then we get the montage of them working on all the serums. And then near the end of that scene, I love the part where Ned's like, he's like, hey Peter, and everyone's like, yeah. Like, because all three of them are Peter, so they go like, huh? And he's like, Peter Parker, and it's like that doesn't help. Like, we're all Peter Parker.
Oh yeah, like the meme.
Yeah,
The
literally.
meme. They kind of did the meme there as well.
Yeah, it's like I love the part where I love that where he's just like, yeah, he's like Peter, and I was like, huh? And he's like Peter Parker. It's like, hey, dumbass. All of our names are Peter Parker. Think of something more creative. And he's like, my Peter, the laptop. And I just love that. And then we get all the serums figured out, and we lead to the climax of the film. As my camera goes out of focus, we get the I love the part as they're setting up the finale where he calls on the Daily Bugle podcast just to talk shit to fucking um to J. Jonah Jameson, or like because he's like because he mostly goes on there to call out the villain saying, hey, I'm here, fight me, let's go. Like he's like he's trying to lure them all in so they can cure them and then send them back. So, and then I love the fact where I forgot what Jameson says, but he basically along the lines like, "What do you think about you being a criminal or some shit like that?" And Peter's like basically he's like, "I know I've done some wrong things in the past, but I'm still here to protect the citizens of New York," and I fucking love that. And then we find, and I love like the build up to the final battle where you just get all three Spider-Man just talking to each other.
Yep.
I love the callbacks to each one. Where like I think what was it? I think Andrews was I forgot what Andrews was. I know what Peters was. I'm trying to save his. I'm trying to remember though what the callback to Andrews was there. I'm trying to fucking remember.
For when like he talks on like on like how he started.
I think
Like
so because I know that with Peter he's like sitting there and he's I think maybe Peters is first. Now I'm thinking about it. Now I don't know because I think Andrew walks up to him and he's like on the pole like rolling his back and he's like, you good, man? And he's like, yeah, I just got a couple kinks in my back, which is a callback to Spider-Man 2 when you fucking fell on the car. So he's like, you want me to crack your back? And he's like, oh yeah, that would be great. And then so he goes to crack his back and he's like, oh, that really does help. And then the back and forth between them two and then how Tom's comes in later about them being like, I fought like, a giant lizard and, and then, no, because it was Peter's. I was like, I fought like a black goo that like came from space.
Which is
then,
Venom from Spider-Man 3.
which is a callback to Venom. And then how,
Tom said that he fought like another alien, which is Thanos.
But he was like purple, and we flew in space, and he's like, and then you just get Andrew in the back, and it's like, I fought like a lizard, like a human lizard thing. I'm lame compared to you two. And then like right before he says that, he cut to Peter. It's like, I'm still trying to get over the fact that you fought an alien in space. Yeah, it's like, man, I'm like lame compared to you guys. And he's like,
yeah, because like he fought like the Rhino guy from.
Oh yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm lame compared to you
was.
guys. Yeah, he's like, I'm lame compared to you guys. I fought a guy in a rhinoceros suit, and he's like, whoa, can we backtrack to the part where you said you're lame? Because you're not lame at all. And he's like, yeah. He's like, can you say that? Can you tell yourself I'm not lame? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, can you say that? I'm like, yeah, I need to hear that. The back and forth between them two is so fucking funny, and I love it.
You're amazing. Say that.
Yeah.
You are amazing.
Yes, thank you. I needed.
You're amazing.
I thank you. I love that. And then, of course, Tom's spiders. All of them really get the spider tingle. And then we get the wide shot of the sand and the electricity coming up, and we're about to have a good ass fight. And of course, it's on the Statue of Liberty that's being renovated for the Avengers. Oh, that reminds me. Oh no, that's coming up later. He's like, yeah, I fought in the Avengers. He's like, cool. What are they? And then he's like, it's a group of superheroes. And then Andrew's like, is it a band? Are you in a band? He's like, no, I'm not in the band.
How's this helping?
Helping.
The Avengers. That's great. What is that?
Is that a band? Are you in a band? It's like, no, it's a group of highly trained superheroes. How is this helping? Oh, you can tell we love this fucking movie.
Yeah.
But of course, we gotta talk about the final battle between all three Spider-Man and the remaining villains, because it starts off with what was it? I think it's Electro and Sandman and the Lizard, and each of them are trying to take each one of them on, but it's like kind of not working. They keep on switching, and I love the part where the sandstorm starts building up, and then he's sitting there like and Peter's like, or I think it's Toby's Peter. It's like, what happened? How did we lose control? And then that's where the Avengers comic comes up. And he's like, okay, we need to coordinate. I'm Peter 1, you're Peter 2, you're Peter 3, I'm Peter 3. And it's like, all right, we got to work on this. We got to do this. And then I love the fact there's bottle run off. And then you just get Andrew go like, hold up, guys. I need to tell you something. I love you. And they both just sit there go,
thank you.
Thank you. And it's like, fuck it, let's go. What? And they fucking just go.
And then like the shot, the fucking shot where all three of them run off and they start swinging together.
Yeah,
that was the moment. That was the fucking moment right there for me.
And then when it cuts to like them like landing on the top of the Statue of Liberty, and they each do like their signature pose like as they land, it's fucking cool. And then so again, talking about the battle, or they're going into the battle. They each I think Andrew goes for Electro, Toby goes for Sandman, and I think Tom initially goes for the Lizard, but then I think they switch. I think at some point.
Kind of, I think a little.
And then, because now I remember, because then I think Andrew and Toby start trying to fight Electro, and he starts fucking them up. Actually, no, because then Peter gets grabbed by Sandman, and Sandman tries to drown him, and so they get the cure for Sandman, and then he gets changed, and I think he's the first one to get changed. I think he gets cured, and you see the stock footage of him from Spider-Man 3 as like him looking at the hand, and he's like, "You're back." So he's good, and then that leads to him trying to help Andrews try to fight Electro, and they both get caught as Lizard escapes, and I think he tries to go for MJ and Ned, because again, Ned can open the portal, but he can't fucking close it, because sure. And so Lizard's just going after them. Tom's trying to defend him, which I think, I could be wrong, but I think that's supposed to be a callback to TASM 1 with Stan Lee scene, where he's sitting there trying to listen to the music, and he's trying to put the books away, and you see like the fight going on in the background with no sound effects. I think it's kind of a callback to that, especially with the environment.
Yeah.
But as that's happening, Toby and Andrew Spider get caught by Electro, and they're like, he's electrocuting them. All of a sudden, fucking Doc Ock shows up, and you're thinking, no, like he's about to fuck him up, because he's clearly like, oh, you two are about to, he's putting on the villain act, and he just grabs Jamie Foxx, and he's like, all right, come here, all right, you're done.
Yeah, because he's now good now.
Yeah, he fully just became a babyface in WWE and just fucking turned on this tag team partner. So that's cool, and I love the interaction between Doc Ock and Toby Spider-Man. I love the
after the fight.
Yeah, because I think it's before. I think it's before even Lizard gets cured. Because because it's after Electro gets cured, and he lands, and then Toby's Peter shows up, and the back and forth between the two is so fucking good. And he's like, "My boy, you've grown. You're so old. It's great to see you. How you doing?"
Yeah, like when he said that, when Doc Ock said that, like especially the line when he was like, you've all grown up, that fucking hit different, because it felt like that he was kind of talking to us in a way, because like, we kind of grew up with the movies.
Yeah, especially with the Toby ones, and we were like kids when we were watching those. So yeah, I could definitely see how that was like. Yes, he's talking to Peter, obviously, but he's also talking to the audience.
So it fucking hits.
Yeah. And the back and forth between Toby and Melina was probably one of the best parts about that final confrontation. And so then
Yeah.
obviously they track down the lizard. I think he gets taken out or he gets cured pretty quickly. Nothing really that much to say. And then of course you think it's over, and you hear the glider, and you hear the laugh. Doc Ock
Spider come out
2.0.
to play.
Yes, we actually get a brand new design for Doc Ock. Or Doc Ock. The
Green
fuck am I
Goblin.
saying? Holy shit, that was bad. Wow. Holy shit. That was bad. But yeah, so we got a brand new design for Green Goblin in the film, and I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, same. I
Whereas,
like the hoodie.
yeah, the hoodie and the ripped up clothing where you can still kind of see a bit of the suit in there.
Yeah.
I love that. And of course, he comes in, and as soon as Tom locks eyes on him, he's like, I'm fucking killing him. Because we got a little bit of that earlier when he was like, when they're in the lab, and Toby's like, we're gonna cure everyone. And you see the look, you see Tom do like a double take, like, I am killing Green Goblin, and I don't fucking care. Like, he is dead to me. So, of course, you see him in the final battle, and then he's like, Tom's like, all right, game on, bitch. So he starts having a battle, and then, well, actually, no, because he first shows up, and he throws the pumpkin bomb, and he blows up a part of the scaffolding, which causes MJ to fall, and
Oh, yeah.
it kind of looks like a bit like TASM 2, with the shot of MJ/Gwen falling, and you see, Spider-Man for obviously Andrew before and Tom now fucking diving in. But the cool twist about it is that, Andrew, like, he was just falling, like, trying to grab him, and we see Tom, like, he's going for it, and all of a sudden Goblin's like, nope, and just fucking swipes him.
Yep.
And so Andrew's like, all right, it's my time to shine, motherfucker. And he actually saves him. Yeah,
Yep.
legit. He has a redemption arc and saves MJ.
Yeah, and that was the main key point right there. Like that was Andrew's like big redemption arc as Spider-Man, and that scene basically made people want a TASM 3.
I think when he first showed up in the film, everyone was like, TASM 3, fucking Marvel. Where? We asked
but that's
for like a decade.
But
yeah,
that's
like that moment, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the scene that really brought it up for people wanting a
Yeah.
TASM 3 now.
Because he's gotten over it. He's gotten over the guilt of losing Gwen. He saved, he saved, MJ/Gwen in that situation. He has now done it. So now he feels good that he could become Spider-Man again. And I really,
Which honestly,
really
I wouldn't mind if like a TASM 3, happened. I think it has potential to, bring it back up.
Exactly.
With the downfall of TASM 2.
So Andrew gets his moment to shine where he saves MJ and has his character arc kind of redeemed from the end of TASM 2. But now we get the fight between Tom's Peter Parker and Green Goblin. And I forgot what the lines the Green Goblin says. He's like, "Oh, would you basically like, oh, what, you gonna cure me?" And then Tom's like, "No, I'm just saving you for myself so I can kill you." And he's like, "Attaboy." And they just go, and it's like, "Yeah, bitch, get his ass." And there's like barely any music playing. It's just fucking the raw sound effects of the punches, and I fucking love it. And then you notice, and then you get the shots of Peter, like Toby's Peter, being like, "Oh shit, he's gonna kill him. Like, we gotta stop this." So he goes in, and as like Tom Lee, he picks up the glider to fucking stab Willem Dafoe. Like, he has the power. He could just go like that, boom, done. And he goes to do it, and our boy Toby coming in with, I guess you could say coming in with the clutch, because he stops him. He stops Tom, and he's like, "No, don't fucking do this." Like, yes, he killed your MJ, but he at least, don't end him like this. And you see Tom, he's like, "All right, I guess you're right." right as soon as he thinks that, you just hear the fucking
Oh,
and turns out fucking Goblin used his little spear thing on his glove and he just stabs Toby. Yeah, that scene that hit for me in the theaters. I think it hits more from that now.
dude, dude. When I first saw that, like, I'm, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna come out like with this one. I legit had the fucking waterworks, bro. I was like,
Yeah.
no, not my coats. No, why? You had to do him like that? Come on. But yeah, I was fucking. My eyes were fucking done for that. Like, I legit thought that my,
Your childhood hero was gonna die in front of you.
yeah, because it's like, because when you feel that, like, when you like grown up with the character for so long, and like just for
Yeah.
that to happen, like, and like I told this to Russell too, because like imagine like if they did like a whole like Superman No Way Home where they brought back the original actor for, like, the original Superman 78, right? That was the year.
The Christopher Reeve was from 78 to 87.
Yeah, so like imagine like if they brought back, Christopher Reeves as the OG Superman. I forgot the other guy's name for, like maybe Returns.
Oh yeah, Brandon Routh.
Yeah, him, and then probably like Henry Cavill, probably.
Yeah, Henry Cavill, and then like David Cornsweet or something like that.
Yeah, as like probably like the modern generation for Superman, I guess, in a way. And like imagine if they just somehow killed off, Christopher Reeves, because I know that. Well, because I know that, Russell, you have a major history with Christopher Reeves as your Superman, as your childhood hero. So like imagine if they just killed him off like that.
Yeah. Which I was gonna say, I do 100% get that, and I like, the thing is that, like, I did feel like emotional. I was like, holy shit, they're gonna kill Peter, like Toby is off, like that's insane.
Yeah.
However, he does survive. I should say he does survive. It's
which
just,
thank fucking God.
but again, it's like in the moment you're like, oh my fuck, like he's dead. He's dead. He just got stabbed. He's dead. So I 100% get that mentality. And yes, like if that like thing happened to me where, like, obviously before, Chris Reeve, especially before he had the paralyzing accident, like if we lived in a different universe where it was like the Superman version of No Way Home instead of Spider-Man, and that sort of thing happened, yeah, I would have felt the exact same fucking way. And would have been like, no, like fucking like I would have fucking went on a ride with a pitchfork and a sign. But yes, so Toby gets stabbed, but he doesn't die. Spoiler, yeah, whatever. And because people are gonna say like, "Oh, it's fucking spoilers," and shit. It's like, shut up! It's been 4 years since the movie came out. Watch it.
Watch it.
So, so yeah, so it's like, so he doesn't die, but then Peter, Tom's like, fuck. So Andrew, clutch moment, honestly, he just chucks the cure, grab, spin, just gets him right in the neck. And this is a nice payoff because technically, Aunt May tried to use the cure on Osborn earlier, right before she died, and it didn't work. So they made a new serum for this fight, and it actually does work. So, and then you see like Norman change back, and he's like he turns back into like, again, like his, I guess, frail version of himself. And he's like looking around like, what the fuck? And I love the shot where he looks over and you see Peter, like Toby's just lying there.
Toby's Peter, by the way, which they've actually met in the film, and like they kind of have a connection with each other. Nothing, no dialogue between them, which I was very surprised by.
Although I do think, like, I do agree, it is shocking that like nothing. But if I had to guess, and I mentioned this earlier about like them not bringing some of the cast members back, like for in person, it's probably because of COVID. COVID, I bet, fucked that up. So they had to kind of crunch a couple things down, and I bet like that was probably one of them. So I do agree, like, yes, they should have been more between, especially Norman and Toby's Peter, but I bet because of COVID, it fucked them up on that. But I do agree. Like there should have been at least something between at least in that like shot where he looks over, he should have been like, oh my god, like Peter, like what the fuck did I do? Like did I just stab? Like what? Like like have that moment where he's like, oh shit, because he was kind of like a father figure to Peter in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah, like more than his own son,
Eh,
Harry Osborn from the first
Yeah.
film.
So I feel like having something there where he would have been like, oh my fucking god, I just stabbed you. Oh my, what did I do? Like holy shit, like something like that would have been nice. And like maybe there is like a deleted scene or like maybe something in the script that said something like that they again had to cut out because of COVID and time. Maybe I don't know, but that would have been nice. But at least he does feel like there is like a bit of there's that shot where like he does look at Peter and he looks back at Tom like, what the fuck did I do? Because you can see like he's a fraction at that moment. And then the biggest change in terms of all of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, obviously, he shows up during the final battle and he sees like him curing everyone is working. So Tom meets up with Doctor Strange as he's trying to do, as he's trying to fix the spell,
Um,
and we get probably the biggest bombshell of the whole film. Because yes, like having everyone, having the villains return from the other films, that's great to see. Having Andrew and Toby Spider-Man show up, that was fucking goated as shit. But this moment alone changed the landscape for Tom Holland's universe. Tom, he knows at this point it was his spell and his demand, not really demands, but his comment saying about who should be, who should not, who should remember him and who shouldn't. It all comes back to him, and he makes the sad but ultimate decision to tell Doctor Strange, how about you make a new spell that everyone forgets who I am, including all of the superheroes that he's fought with. So that means Captain America, Nick Fury, if he's still alive technically at this point, and even Doctor Strange, the man right in front of him that has helped him through this whole shebang, they would all just not know who he is. That alone, like Aunt May's was like that like slight moment where I was like, I almost broke down, but it's still emotional as shit. This was the moment for me where I was like, oh fuck. This is about to make everything change. And there's no going back after this. And what brings the scene home even more is that after Strange gives the okay to give this spell, to do the spell, Tom goes down to MJ and Ned and explains to them what's going to happen. They're going to, everything's going to be fixed, but you guys will not remember who I am. And like you won't be my best friend, Ned, and MJ you will not be my girlfriend. You would not know any trace of me, no nothing. And the raw emotion on both of their faces, especially Zendaya's, was like, holy shit, like this is big. And I think I think when they kissed at the end of No Way Home, I think I could be wrong, but I do believe that is the first time those two characters kissed in any MCU film. I do believe. I could be wrong. But if that's the case, that's really fucking sad. Because that's the one moment that they have, and then bam, they forget. And that's it. That scene really did it brought it home for me that like this was probably like as much as we like Spider-Man 1, like the original Raimi trilogy, and even if you like TASM 1 and like TASM 1, especially TASM 2, this is probably the biggest Spider-Man film ever. In terms of production, in
yeah.
terms of scale, in terms of the events that happen, this is by far the biggest Spider-Man live action film we have ever gotten, and probably Spider-Man film ever, in terms of the plot and the significance of the film. And the hype. That's very true. And to basically have that not really all not I don't think taken away is fair to say, but to have the payoff of it was Peter's spell that brought the events of the film to occur. It only made sense that he was the one to be like, "You know what? It was my fault that this shit happened. I'm gonna fix it." And the only way to do that is to have everyone forget who I am. And I think that as much as I may have a hot take for this, but even though I love Toby Spider-Man, I think Tom's Spider-Man has the best character arc out of the 3 live action Spider-Mans. Because of that whole starting from the nobody kid to getting the powers to fighting all over the world, having his identity revealed, to try and have everyone forget who he is, to bring in villains from all different universes, and then to ultimately make the hardest decision of his life to have everyone forget is probably most the strongest character arc for any live action Spider-Man, I think, to this day. And that may seem as a hot take, but I think honestly, like, the proof is there. Like, I think acting wise, I think Toby's is better. I think film wise, I think Toby's, all of them, even 3, are technically better than Tom's trilogy as a whole. But
Yeah.
in terms of a character arc, Tom's has the best character arc out of any Spider-Man. And I think that's very valid to say. And especially with the scene at the end where he walks into the cafe where MJ works, and you see that her and Ned are friends. And Peter walks in, he has this whole speech written out to MJ. And by the time he walks up and goes to give the speech to her, he doesn't do it. Because ultimately he's afraid that and I could be reading into it too much, but I think ultimately Tom Spider-Man is afraid that the same shit will happen again. And if it was just the trilogy of Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, I think that's very valid to say. However, of course, we are getting Brand New Day coming up, I think, next year, or at least within the
July.
next 2 years. So, like, this could very well change, but as of right now, as of us recording this in September 2025, I think honestly Tom's has the best character arc out of any live action Spider-Man. And it's taken home by, again, that one scene at the very end where he goes to give that speech to MJ and just doesn't go through with it because he knows maybe it's I think if anything, they're probably gonna establish it. They probably will have a scene in Brand New Day where he does go and talk to MJ and trying to see if they could become friends again. But I think at this moment in No Way Home, he's afraid that the same shit will happen as they did, and he just doesn't want them to take that risk for him. Because technically, as of right now, after everyone has forgotten who he is, he has no one. He hasn't, he doesn't know anyone. I don't even, yeah, Happy doesn't even know because he goes to see to Aunt May's grave. And we have that kind of funny moment between the two of them where Happy's talking to Peter, and then you see the look on Peter's face, or he keeps on looking over like, oh shit, like Happy's sitting right next to me. And
Yeah.
he's just trying to play it off, and he's like, how did you know her? And he was like, he plays off so cool where he's like, I knew her through Spider-Man. And he was like, yeah, same here. And how he just walks off. And again, he doesn't, go like, hey, we should talk more or something like that. He leaves Happy to just walk away. And that really just cements that this Spider-Man now is alone. All he has in himself. And for right now, it's probably for the best. And my God, that fucking final shot, that one take of him putting on the new Spider-Man suit and swinging through the winter skies right as the new year was about to begin. Funny enough, because this came out in December 2021, so this was right before the new year started. I think it really does. Without the announcement of Brand New Day, it does put a cap on his Spider-Man, and ultimately leaves his Spider-Man off at this point with a very solid end. And I don't really think you could really. I think as of right now, I don't think we've had a better end for a Spider-Man series on par with No Way Home. Because Spider-Man 3, like, yes, it's a good ending, but I don't think it compares to No Way Home in terms of magnitude and emotion. And I think TASM 2, maybe, but I mean, TASM 2 is a piece of shit, so we could just fucking ignore that. Uh, but I think honestly though, like I think Spider-Man No Way Home has the best ending out of any Spider-Man, and I think overall it really puts a very nice cap on Tom Holland's tenure as Spider-Man at this point. That's pretty much the end for Spider-Man No Way Home, except for one thing. If you're familiar with the MCU, you would know that pretty much every MCU film has a post-credits scene. No Way Home has one too. And
Yeah.
I think with this post-credit scene in mind, I think this could very well segue to what Brand New Day could hold. After the credits, we get a shot of a certain man in a bar talking to the bartender. And who else would it be other than Tom Hardy's Venom talking to the bartender about the events that pretty much all the Avengers went through in all the Avengers films. And it ends off with the line, well, I guess I got to go and check out this Spider-Man. And he gets teleported away. Oh
Yeah, it's
my fucking God.
like we could be seeing Tom Hardy's Venom in Brand New Day, which if that's the case, that's fucking hype.
Yeah.
And like, but the thing is that even though that he gets teleported away, there's still a little bit of piece of symbiote still, at like the bar or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, there's a little piece.
Which means like, what's gonna happen with that?
Because technically, when did because I know the original Venom came out 2017. When did Let There Be Carnage come out? Was that 22?
I think it was 21, and I think Venom came out 2018, I think.
Or was because
Yeah,
I know
it
the
was.
sequel. I know Venom came out around the time that Homecoming did. I was gonna say maybe that was like maybe the symbiote on the bar. Maybe it was a setup for Let There Be Carnage. Because maybe I know I haven't seen any of the Venom films so I don't fucking know. But maybe that's what the plan was. Or you could very well be right, Matt. And now with the announcement of Brand New Day, now that piece of that little piece of symbiote maybe might come back in that, and maybe we could actually possibly see a black symbiote Spider-Man in Brand New Day. Which, if that's the case, that would be sick.
Yeah.
Let's stop talking about the future as of right now and talk about the present currently with No Way Home. Holy shit, this movie's amazing. I'm just gonna cover this real quick. I'm still surprised I gave this a B plus in my original. Like, I'm looking at my script right now for it. I gave this a B plus. This is probably honestly like an A and A minus for me personally. Like, this is one of the best Spider-Man films out there, easily in my top 5, maybe even top 3. I might even go so far as to say that. Because this one, as my camera's getting out of focus again, Spider-Man 2 is clearly the top for me. Nothing can compare to that. Then I think the second place would be Spider-Man 1. And then I'm honestly having a hard time pick between this or Spider-Man 3 as my number 3 pick. I might honestly have to go with this film as my number 3 spot. It has the emotion, it has the heart, it has, a good amount of fan service, but not too overloady. And the action scenes are holy shit amazing. That I really can't recommend this movie enough to any Spider-Man or superhero fans out there. If you have the chance, watch this film. I think as of right now, it's not available on Disney Plus. I think it's available on Hulu, and I do recommend picking up the 4K for this one because, especially for a film maybe in 2021, I can only imagine because even the Blu-ray here looks great, but I can only imagine what this film looks like in 4K. So I definitely try to say get this. Maybe
Oh
we'll
my
see.
god.
But I do recommend everyone watching to check this film out when you do, if you can, and if you have seen it, then you probably know how great this film is. And yeah, I think I've said enough. I'm gonna let Matt give his ranking on the film.
Yeah, No Way Home. You know what? I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5 stars.
Oh shit! Okay.
I think this is, like an S tier film. Besides all of the nostalgia, stuff around it, it is pretty good. I think that, you know what? I think that we could all agree that this is the best film out of the Tom Holland trilogy.
Yeah.
Just
I
get that
can
out of the
100%
way.
agree. Yeah, I can 100% agree on that right now. Like honestly, I think for ranking the Tom Holland trilogy, No Way Home's definitely at the
No Way
top.
Home, Homecoming, Far From Home.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly my ranking. Like, and I said this before about Far From Home. It isn't bad, but when compared to like even Homecoming, it's not as good. And it's surprising because I thought Homecoming at parts was kind of boring. But like there was just something about Far From Home that kind of threw me off with it. I don't know why. But and then you get to No Way Home, and it's like, holy shit, this is a massive jump in quality from Far From Home and even Homecoming. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm taking away from your time, Matt. I'm gonna let you go on.
But yeah, though, like I give this like 5 out of 5 stars. I consider this an S tier, but yeah, just all the moments with, from the whole like multiverse happening, with bringing back all the past villains from all of the other films, obviously the two other Spider-Mans that we all know and love, and just the whole interaction with them, like like God, I can't even say it because it's just so, it's so unbelievable, because like this is what the fans wanted for so goddamn long, and we finally got it after all these years later. And I guess just like my final thoughts with the film as a whole, No Way Home is more than just a Spider-Man film. It's a love letter to the character's cinematic history by uniting 3 generations of Spider-Man. It celebrates the past while launching the MCU's version into a more mature, independent future. And it is an exhilarating, emotional, and deeply satisfying film that transcends the superhero genre. It balances jaw-dropping spectacle with joy and heart, reminding us why Spider-Man has been beloved for generations.
So, from what I'm understanding, but you probably give us like a C tier. No, I'm kidding. So I'm guessing you didn't really like the film. I think we made it clear at this point. We both love the film. Like, there's really not that much else to say. I mean, I think only a couple other things to mention before we get on to favorite scenes and stuff like that. The score by Michael Giacchino. This is actually the first time now in Tom Holland's career where I could actually say something good about the soundtrack. It actually is pretty good for this film. Like, because the thing was that most like Spider-Man Homecomings and Far From Home soundtracks, they were pretty forgettable. That's the thing. But especially with like we come to No Way Home and he works, he decides, okay, let's work around, the villain themes from all the previous films, and especially around Toby and Andrew's themes. And I think with that definitely does help the score get elevated a bit and makes it actually memorable for me.
Yeah, especially hearing like Doc Ock's theme again. You could hear that
Yeah.
clearly when you see him on the screen, which is a nice throwback.
I think probably my favorite part of the score is, I mean, and this is a scene that we already mentioned earlier, was the end battle when all three of the Spider-Men, they finally get a unified plan. They're gonna go in, and yeah, it cuts to the shot of all three of them running off, and then as they start swinging,
Yeah,
when the score picks up there, you're like,
yeah,
"Fuck yes, let's go!"
yeah. That was epic.
Yeah,
That was fucking
best
epic.
part of the score, in my opinion, and honestly, like I said, it's my favorite out of the Tom Holland trilogy. Does it compare to like the scores from like 1 and 2 or TASM 1? Not really. Probably on TASM 1, maybe, but probably not the Danny Elfman stuff for 1 and 2. But Michael Giacchino, you did actually a good job with Spider-Man. I'll give you that. And then I mean, yeah, because we kind of went out of order because we haven't done this in a while. Let's quickly talk about favorite scenes before we get to, again, the final thoughts. Um, yeah, I do you want me to go first, Matt, or do you want to go?
I guess you know what, you can go first.
Okay. So I've written down 3 favorite scenes for me personally. But 10, I could really say that kind of like
Yeah,
a whole bunch of different, like, I could really say, oh, all the introductions of the villains, like those are all great,
yeah,
but like those are kind of like obvious. So I'm I try to keep it down to like ones that like I whenever I think about the film, these are the 3 scenes that stand out to me personally. Favorite scene number 1, the fight scene between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man as he tries to take the cube with the spell in it. Great, visually very impressive, and something that again, like I mentioned about getting the 4K, I can only imagine what that looks like in 4K quality, especially seeing like the other side of the world, like kind of like closing on like the top, and like the train kind of like becoming like this like circle a bit. Like I can only imagine what that shit would look like. So that looked great. Um, Favorite scene number 2, Aunt May's death, really was the driving force of all the emotion in the film in just one real quick scene, and that really brought it home for me. So, and like I said, I almost I was like right there getting like really emotional about it. And then for technically last scene for once I've written down, Toby and Andrew's entrance into the film. I mean, why can I like I it would be stupid of me not to include that. Like, because I'm a fan of both versions of Spider-Man. So to see them both for the first time get reintroduced into any sort of film in their Spider-Man portrayals was fucking great to see. And honestly, I'm just gonna say it, the whole final battle between all 3 Spider-Man and all the villains, fantastic. So I mean that's all I pretty much got. Let's hear from Matt in terms of his favorite scenes. Because I can only
um
imagine how many you have. It's probably a shit ton.
yeah, so I could say a lot if I really wanted to, but I'm not gonna drag this out too much. For my third favorite scene, it might be like when like we meet all the villains together, like each telling them their own like history of like what they'd done back then.
Yeah.
I thought that was very cool because like a lot of those moments were like throwbacks, to the other films. So
Hmm.
that was cool hearing that. My second favorite probably, yeah, Toby's and Andrew's entrance coming into the film. That was such
Yeah.
a special moment that not only me but everyone else here that wanted, this to happen. All the fans wanted that to happen, and we got it. So that was you know such an epic moment. And my favorite scene has got to be when all 3 of them swing off and they get ready to face the rest of the villains. That's the one that that really hits when they're all together, because it's like if you think about it, it's all 3 generations of Spider-Man all coming together
Yeah.
to finish this whole final battle off.
Yeah. I didn't really bring that up, but yeah, that's a very good way of looking at it. Is definitely having like, yeah, like the older generation, kind of like us with Toby Spider-Man. Then you have like kind of like the middle generation with Andrews, and then the more modern side with Tom's, all coming together to really just take on evil once and for all. that is a very nice way of looking at it, and I think that definitely brings the point home for like what the I guess the whole purpose of the film really was. So I'm guessing like that's it for you.
Yep, that's all.
All right. Well, I mean, we made it clear throughout this review in over probably in terms of video length, probably over 2 hours worth of footage. Yeah, we kind of like the film. I mean, I've said this before. I'm gonna say it again. This is a high recommendation from me, and I'm sure Matt as well. Um, like I said, I don't know why I gave this like a B plus. Back when I originally wrote the script, because I should say this though. I wrote the script pretty much like right after we did the Far From Home review, which was like over a year ago now at this point. So like obviously my opinions have changed, and yeah, like I said, I'm probably gonna give this like an A minus, probably like an A for me personally, because this is the best modern Spider-Man film we've probably ever gotten since Toby's second film. And yeah, I think it brings all sides of like Matt, like you said, I think it brings all sides of the Spider-Man fandom together in one feature film, and it takes the best of all elements and just clashes them together to make almost a masterpiece of a film. And yeah, I can't recommend this film enough. And I mean, we already heard Matt's opinion on the film. I don't I don't really know how else to end this. Yeah, moving on to the fun facts. I got two for this one. So this one probably doesn't come as a surprise, but Matt, did you know that most of the returning cast actually did like the story and was the main reason why they got onto the film?
I
As
didn't know
Brent,
that, but that's pretty interesting though. I mean, like look at the I mean, like it makes a lot of sense on why they would return, but that's awesome though.
yeah, so I have this written down here. Both Jamie Foxx and Willem Dafoe were both very excited to play their respective villains again. Fox, in particular, was pleased that he wasn't going to be blue this time.
Oh yeah, with the whole makeup.
Yeah. Um, Alfred Molina, on the other hand, while he did joke that he was only in it for the paycheck, he has confirmed since then though that he did like the story before signing on. On the other
Okay.
hand, however, Benedict Cumberbatch admitted that he did not read the entire script before signing on to the film.
Oh shit.
He's quoted to say that he wanted to surprise himself with the final product before, so he didn't read the entire script before signing on, which I do think it kind of did help because there's like a kind of parts about Doctor Strange's character that kind of are like what the fuck kind of moments, and I think he definitely helped build that up as like in terms of like his character, like what in the fuck is happening right now. So I think that does help. And then for the second fun fact, did you know, Matt, that there was actually some digital trickery to make actors look younger in the film?
Really?
According to IMDb, for Alfred Molina, they apparently digitally de-aged him slightly to make his appearance look more similar to how he looked in Spider-Man 2, especially with the mechanical arms being made through CGI and rather not be practical puppets, so that they can make him look a little bit more like it just came from like straight from the
Yeah,
second
from the
film.
film.
That's something
Shit, wow.
I will say though, it's not really that obvious when you figure that out, but I
Yeah.
think it's a nice detail.
Yeah,
But
because you can kind of tell. You can kind of tell a
yeah,
little.
but I mean, it doesn't affect the film, and plus, I think it might honestly help a little bit with making it make more sense because you look at it, it's like obviously if you look at modern Alfred Molina, it's like yeah, there's an age gap there. Whereas like if you make it look slightly more like his appearance in Spider-Man 2, that's like, okay, that can make more sense as to like why he came as to like of like when they pulled him from the film. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much about it. Um, a high recommendation from both me and Matt. And next episode, guys, is gonna be the finale to my Spider-Man marathon with at this current time of me recording this, the latest Spider-Man feature film out to the public right now, and that is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That one is going to be interesting because as of right now, me and Matt have not seen the film. We have only seen Into the Spider-Verse. So, this is going to be very interesting to look into. But anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Russell's Movie Reviews. If you guys like this sort of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to get notified when future videos are coming out. Of course, go and check out Matt's channel. He makes some great content. And, you know, of course, very much appreciate him joining us or joining me for the Spider-Man Marathon. And I'm definitely going to bring him back for more reviews in the future, which, funny enough,
There's a lot more.
I was going to say, as of right now, we have the rest of season 6 schedule. In terms of films, we already have the rest of it planned out. We don't know when we're going to film them. It's probably going to be kind of sporadic, but we already have the rest of season 6 planned out, and there's going to be some interesting ones coming up later on, especially in this year. But next time you guys will see us on Russell's Movie Reviews, we're going to be discussing the finale to my Spider-Man marathon with Across the Spider-Verse. And that one, I can only imagine how that one's going to go. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Live long and prosper. Out.